Listo. Buenos días. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Dónde está mi amigos? Uno más. 1, 2, 3. Buenos días. Excelente. Gracias. Pura vida. Now I know what you're thinking. How am I going to tie me speaking Spanish into you doing financial planning? Well, just a little bit of faith, a little bit of patience, and we'll get there. The first few slides I'm going to show you are the slides I normally use when presenting to outsiders, not this group. But I'd like to start off talking to this group by saying I understand how bright you all are. I understand how successful you are. So I'm not coming to you today with the answer. I'm coming to you today with an answer that works for me. And what I've always encouraged you to do is take from me whatever you find valuable and make it your own. What we're going to talk about today, we've got about an hour, and I have talked with you folks in the past about the tactics of having the client interview, doing financial planning, how to convert it, and we're going to spend a little bit of time reviewing some of those things, but we've never really talked about the strategy of adding the financial services to the tax practice. So I'm going to spend half the time today talking about the strategy of things, why we're doing what we're doing, and why we should be considering getting to the next level. I normally show these slides like this to outsiders just so you can see I have a for real office that I do go to during tax season. For those of you that know me, you'll know that I don't show up there very often. To outsiders, I normally tell them this is what we do. If you'll notice that in these listings, there's duplications. I do that because sometimes clients will key on certain words. When we had bookkeeping up here, we didn't understand that we also did outsourcing, so we put both words up there. So when you're talking to an outside group, you've got to kind of figure out what they're looking for. We could tell them we did wealth management, but they were looking for family office services, so we threw that one in there too. I'm just looking to try and get their attention here. This is where we stand today. We actually have 8 CPAs, including myself. We do have female CPAs. They did not want to be in the picture, so we respected that. We have 2 enrolled agents now, and I think the total count is wrong by a couple of folks, but somewhere in that range. So that's who we are. I throw this in here to tell you guys, if you're going to do something like this to an outside group, and you list your credentials, I know this may sting a little bit, but nobody cares. So I always make a joke about this. I tell them the only person that cares about this anymore is my mother, and she's kind of over it. What you need to hear is that competence is assumed. If you have a client sitting in front of you, they already trust you, they already think you're doing a good job, get over it. The more you hesitate because you think you haven't explained your competence, the more nervous you'll make that client feel. Just like doing a tax return. You don't try and explain yourself while doing a tax return. You know what you're doing, you're confident. You need to have that same level of confidence while doing financial planning. And nobody cares about all these degrees, I promise you. Nobody cares. Okay, let's talk about the paradox of time for a minute, because this seems to be something that weighs on a lot of us. I want to push your thought process a little bit. I want to challenge some of the easy answers you seem to come up with from time to time, or we all seem to come up with from time to time. You know, we all have 24 hours in a day. We all have 365 days a year. So why is it that some of us struggle to get home for dinner in time, don't see our kids as much as we want, and don't really have a lot of outside interests? And yet others can spend 4 months a year on the beach in Costa Rica. Now, in the past, you folks have come up to me and said, oh, that's because you're lucky, or you're smarter than I am, or you had more resources, or all kinds of different excuses. That really wasn't deep thought on your part. There's no one in here that can't do what I'm doing if they chose to do so. What I need you to do is just push your thought process a little bit more to understand why some folks have a great deal of time and others don't. So let me ask the question, how many of you wish you had more time? Okay, yeah. What if I could show you you could have all the time you'll ever need? Wouldn't that be exciting? It's not impossible. I am not the only guy in Money Concept System doing this. I'm the one crowing about it the most, but I'm not the only guy doing it. I want you to think about successful people for a minute. Think about the Rock Turnells, the Darren Oglesbys, the Bruce Morrisons, David in the back, Hudson. All these people are highly successful. They have very, very busy practices. And yet, they seem to have more time. They seem to have more vacations. They spend more time with their family. How is that possible? How is it that these people have figured out, even though there's more work on their desk and a greater span of authority they have to manage, how is it that they have more time than most of you? It's a critical element. If I can get you past this point, the world really opens up for you. Now, most successful people work very hard in their early years. But you've got to ask yourself, are they successful because of that hard work? Or are they successful because all that hard work taught them how to work smarter? That's really the key of how you free up your time, by working smarter. Hard work alone will not help you become successful. It just helps you get to the heart attack that much faster. And we live in an industry, we work in an industry where we tend to die young. We tend to drink or medicate ourselves because the stress, especially during the tax season. We tend to be, as a group, a little overweight. Managing the concept of time can solve a lot of that problem for you. Now, this guy here, Jack Walsh, taught me amazing things, and this was his go-to group of comments every time he'd get up and speak to us. He'd talk about what makes a pro a pro. You know, conviction of success, knowing you're going to be successful, high income goals, greater capacity for achieving objectives, and number 4, which I think is probably the most critical, he urged us to become a student of our profession. That's the one that rang through to me more than anything else. Now, continually refining your vision, I think that's a natural approach for most of us, and organizing your steps to success. But I want to encourage you to become a student, not just working in your business, but working on your business. And we're going to go through some of those steps. Smart folks learn to work smarter. You know, there's an old adage in the military that if I have a lazy officer that's extremely bright, he's headed for to become a general. Those are the guys we want figuring out how to get around things. Those are the guys that we want to find the shortcuts. Those are the guys we want to think outside the box. It's okay to be a little lazy if you can figure out, if in your laziness it promotes you to finding the shortcuts and the better ways of doing things.